All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for you being here with us on this Friday morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in this Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage for what is a important Friday, being that we have non-farm payroll here in the United States. So if everybody can hear me loud and clear, do me a huge favor, drop me a big one in the chat. Let me know that you guys are all fired up and ready to go for this morning's session. All right. Good morning, Benita. I see you, Joy. All right. Appreciate you all being here this morning. So let me close out, and we can see here that today, first Friday of the month of October, we have Canadian employment numbers coming through. Expected 22,000 in regards to the employment change. Unemployment rate expected to be at 5.6. And we've got the United States non-farm average hourly earnings and the unemployment rate coming out. So should see some decent volatility this morning. So if we roll over and we take a look at trading economics, first thing this morning, this is pretty good, right, for the euro. Now, things could change with the volatility this morning with the dollar, but as far as that euro USD trade goes, this is good when we have Germany factory orders surprise on the upside. We know that Germany is the largest player in the Eurozone. And so any good news coming out of Germany is a plus and a positive for that euro. So we see that euro making a move this morning. So factory orders in Germany increased 3.9% month over month in August, rebounding from an 11.3% slump in July and beating forecasts of a 1.8% increase. The biggest upward contribution came from the manufacturer of computer, electronic, and optical products. Both domestic and foreign orders were higher. So that is a good thing there. We've got a projection here from Trading Economics for U.S. non-farm. So, and they're usually pretty spot on and pretty good. So U.S. non-farm payroll is likely increased by 170K in September, down from 187K in August, and making the fourth consecutive month with job gains below 200,000. Still, job gains will remain well above 70 to 100,000 needed per month to keep up with the growth in the working age population, signaling that the labor market is gradually easing but remains resilient despite the Fed's tightening campaign. Right, so the strike by the UAW auto workers by the UAW is not expected to impact the data yet, right? Because we know that this is lagging. So we'll probably see that in the next report next month. At the same time, the resolution of Hollywood's writers' strike could provide a slight boost. The unemployment rate is forecasted to edge lower at 3.7%, 3.8, which was the highest since February 2022. Wages are likely to have risen by 0.3% compared to 0.2% in August, which could keep annual growth rate steady at 4.3%. So labor force participation will also be in the spotlight after it hit 62.8% in August, the highest level since February of 2020. So we shall see at 8:30. So we should see some fireworks there. What else? Stocks in Europe rise. That's good. UK house prices fall the most since 2009. So any questions regarding the fundamentals and what we're looking at today?
Good morning. This is Marshall.
Marshall, what's going on, sir?
We have non-farm payroll today, right?
Correct.
Do you think that's going to have a big impact, considering, didn't we have unemployment like yesterday, I believe?
You had private sector this week. So the private sector target missed. Where are we at? You have your weekly unemployment claims, but ADP, your non-farm, your private sector jobs missed. So it's projected at 154. It came through to 89. on the non-farm. So sometimes it falls in, private sector falls in line with the report today, but oftentimes we've seen it be way off compared to the non-farm payrolls that's coming out today.
Okay, and non-farm carries more weight, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, non-farm is carrying more weight. This is the report that everybody looks for. The ADP is kind of like a precursor, but it doesn't always fall in line, right? So you can see job creation is the most important leading indicator of consumer spending, which accounts for a majority of overall economic activity, right? So it's the change, right, in the number of employed people during the previous month, excluding the farming industry, right? Because that could be volatile, right? So we're expected, right, 171K. Previous was 187. So we're expecting it to trickle down a little bit. Like the report said, still below 4 consecutive months below 200,000 jobs, but still above the 70 to 100,000 jobs needed for growth. So that's this is always an important report. And then you've got employment numbers coming out for Canada, right? So it'll be interesting to see what's going on with the employment in Canada. We know that it shows some strength as of late, even though it's tailed off a bit because of the oil prices they're correcting. But we know that the Canadian dollar benefits largely from oil prices, especially when they're strong. So it'll be interesting to see what the employment data looks like out of Canada. So that's that. That's that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Great question. No, not not yet. All right, all right. But we can see, right? When we're looking at, your GDP, your employment data, your trade balance data, interest rates. Those are key. Those are key. Retail sales data. These things, are good economic, indicators for the health, of a country's economy. Very, very important. And you can see that these same reports month after month after month after month. So it just goes in a cycle. And this is why we like to trade the waves in the market. Okay. So taking a look at the DXY, right? So we can see here on the daily that we have, hold on, take the charts, froze a bit. Yep. Give me 1 second, everybody. See if I can get them to reload. Okay. So we have the daily. You can see we have a new AB boundary, right? The dollar's been on the tear, but we've got a little corrective action holding on, right? We're holding below that weekly support. And if we come down here to the 4-hour, you can kind of see where we're holding below, just ahead of the non-farm payroll. It should be interesting to see what the reaction is going to be in markets. I can't call it, from a technical perspective, which way it's going to drive the dollar and what the sentiment is going to be coming out of the report. Okay, so we know, right? It's multiple reports. Okay, and so the price can get whipsawed a bit. So we'll see what happens. That's where we sit on the U.S. dollar right now. Ryan, good morning, sir.
Good morning, bro. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I am doing well. Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, me too. Anything out there fundamentally that I might have missed that you had your eyes on?
No, just everything looking forward to these non-farm numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Should be interesting. And then, as always, just continue to watch the ends, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's been a pretty wild ride, but we'll continue to see what happens. So we'll see. We'll probably see this bounce around, especially moving up as we get closer towards 8:30. Investors jockeying for positions and things like that. So we'll see what happens. But let's take a look at our dollar pairs this morning, starting with the Aussie dollar, since we've got non-farm coming up. So looking at this Aussie dollar here on the let's go to the weekly first. So overall, right, it's been bearish. The dollar's been pretty strong, moving overall to the downside. Okay, moving overall to the downside. So we're bearish. You can see here we've got some pushback this week, but overall, you guys can see this, right? This has been moving to the downside. All right, for the most part. Do you have your corrections? Yes, because the market moves in waves. But this has been overall bearish. Okay. Overall bearish. Just like, okay. So if we come down and we take a look at the daily, we do, right? We have a new AB boundary. We finally, right? Seems like ages ago now that we had that double top in the zone right there, and we got short, and we finally came into that D extension. Over and over and over again. Believe it, everybody. Okay. And there's our D. Now we got a new AB boundary. We got a decent reaction off the B boundary, daily support. And we can see here we're pulling back just a little bit today. So if we move down to the 4, you can see where we're actually on the smaller wave, right? You guys remember this coming out of the ritual? Huge bearish candlestick, right? We talked about this earlier in the week, but it was bearish every since. Now we're getting this pulled back. So may even pull back a little bit further, not sure, but I'm still overall bearish on this Aussie dollar. Okay. Overall bearish, we're trying to get a high formed here. There. Still overall bearish. Let's see what type of reaction we get with the non-farm payroll. Any questions on the Aussie dollar? Here we are on the 1. Okay. That's that. All right. So let's move on down. Take a look at we'll look back at this because we've got Canadian numbers too, so we'll go through those as well. Yep. Hold on 1 second. Ryan, you good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Going back, taking a look at this CAD Swiss real quick. We know that it had continued to collapse. Right. We talked about this one yesterday. And you can see here on the weekly, right? That is a nice evening star trying to set up. We haven't closed out yet. But we're having a bearish week. Decision, indecision, look at that. And then decision to the downside right now. So here we are on the daily. Okay. No 382, but you can see how we're kind of stuck. Okay. Just stuck in that range. Look at that reaction. It's going to be interesting, right? I don't expect the employment numbers. From what I was reading, I expected to be decent. But we know we're getting a correction in oil, right? Which is, you see this move down on the CAD as a result. But I wonder if that's gonna stay bearish back down to support. I don't think so. But we'll see. We've got a level coming up here to the downside, right? There in that zone. That could potentially be an area there where you may see price get held up. Our daily stochastic is back in the buy zone, right? Way oversold. Okay, so let's continue to watch that. This was the original move that we put in the Discord on the 80-20, right? Now, coming out of the ritual this week, I was actually looking forward to get held up at some of the levels, right around that TP2 level or whatnot, but it didn't hold, right? Oil continued to, correct to the downside and it just collapsed. So you went through pretty much all 3 TP levels on that 80-20. But I had gotten out expecting it for it to get back long. I was even looking at it. Can't remember what I posted. I think it might have, I can't remember if it was on the 4 or 1 where I was looking for an opportunity for a trend line break. I've cleaned my charts up since then, but I was looking for some evidence to get long, but it never really moved through my trend lines. So it didn't take it, but you can see it even collapsed through the 4-hour levels there, right? So 80-20 play was good. Waited for confirmation to get back long, never got it, but we could be pushing lower into this zone here. Not sure. So we will see. Ryan, there's been no change in the oil and that projected the output, the cuts in output, right?
No changes.
Yeah. So maybe it's just a matter of the dollar being too expensive. That caused some demand challenges with it, push that oil price back down. Not sure how to do research on that.
That's what I read regarding the demand challenges.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So that dollar being so high affects a lot of things. So definitely needs to some point come down. We'll see how that goes. Maybe the trigger is the non-farmer day. Not sure. But that's the CAD Swiss. Take a look at this CAD Yen. This is the next pair on the list. And we can see that overall, right, that's still, let's see how that's starting to settle right at that. We held, we didn't push through. It tried to. So this is still the overall long-term move, right, to the upside, and we're getting a bullish reaction right now. We're way oversold. We're getting a bullish reaction right now on the daily at this 108.53, 108.16 level. So that zone is holding pretty good. Past resistance becoming future support. And that's just ahead of the Canadian numbers, and we got this trend line break. All right, so that's looking pretty decent. That's looking pretty decent. If you're holding, wait until after the data comes out to see, right? If it pushes it up long, we wait for pullbacks and continuations, because that's looking nice from the higher time frame. Looks like it's trying to settle in. Here's the CAD Yen. Okay. So that move played out to TP1. This will be interesting with this non-farm data coming out. So that's a beautiful 80-20 play off the correction. And now we're looking like we're getting held up there. All right. So let's see what happens after the reports come out at 8:30. And then we'll look going into next week to make our moves from there. Any questions on the CAD Yen? Overall, still bullish.
No, sir.
All right. Moving on down. I want to take a look at this Euro USD. All right, just from the top down, you can see we're stalling, right? What is this? This 104, 105 area. Okay. Stalling. All right. We know we got a D extension that was hit. You can see the low. Oh, this was the low. That should be a new fib. Right. So here, this was the C high, right? And that's your low. And you got 2 candles to the right. So that's moving up. That's moving up. That's that 10. Look at that 106, that 106 level from the daily perspective. That would be nice. Potentially get back short. But here's our move, right? Our moves take time, right? If you guys ever go back, and look in the Discord at some of the setups that we post, if you go and you keep scrolling back through the charts, you'll see that they take time, but they go, right? Of course, we don't hit all of them, but a lot of them, right? Strike and hit the targets. You just have to be patient. Like, this is how we've been doing it for quite a while in this group. We don't post, setups every 5 minutes, 10 setups a day, right? On the lower time frames. It's not really our thing. It might be your thing once you learn our methodology and you want to play on the lower time frames, but these are the moves that we primarily look for. Now, we've got non-farm coming up. We know that the euro is getting a boost with the data out of Germany today. So right now, this is pushing back long, right? So look at the swing, right? You had the the drawdown, but this is now starting to make its way. So this should be interesting. Interesting to see what happens with this data at 8:30 and which way it pushes this Euro USD play. But we know we've been getting some strength out of the euro because of some of the data coming out. So if we let's see, I've got a 1 hour. Here's the 1 hour chart here. So you can see how that's been working its way back up towards that trend line. So let's see what happens, right? We're getting some positive momentum now. And hey, we know the market moves up, down, and sideways. Let's see what happens. Should be interesting. All right. Any questions on a Euro USD?
I'm still waiting for this to reverse and become bearish again.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when, right? I'm thinking bearish too. I'm just tracking and monitoring how far it wants to correct because we broke back above 105. Right. So we got above this 105 level, so do we carry the 106? Do we go to 106? Do we go to 106.37? But I'm thinking that it's definitely, over the long term, especially with the Fed stance, bearish overall. It's just how far does it want to correct at this point? And the non-farm tell us a lot in regards to that. So should be an interesting morning with some of these technical setups. So let's see how it plays out. Let's see how it goes. Right. But it has definitely been bearish. We're approaching some trend lines, right? Maybe we break through our inner trend line and get back up to that 106 area. Should be a key round number, key zone. So let's see what happens. All right. That's the Euro USD. Let's take a look at this pound dollar. We were looking at this yesterday, right? And as we were looking at it, it was starting to move to the upside. So we'll just come in here and take a look at it from the 4, and it is continuing to correct, right? Off that B boundary. So it's moved up 152 pips, 160 pips or so. So again, right, if that dollar continues to correct to the downside, you're going to see these move up. And we were talking about this yesterday, right? When this price was down around this level, we saw it moving up just as we closed out the session, and it's still moving up. I don't know if anybody took a shot at the long on that, but it was looking pretty decent because it had a 50% pullback. I didn't take it, but I was thinking to myself when we closed out, I wonder if anybody was trying to take a shot at that long. But it's moving up. And we marked out this level here to see once it gets to that 122.70, if it can get there, see if it'll get a reaction or if it's just going to continue to push higher. depending on what the dollar wants to do after the news this morning. But it is moving up, just like the Euro USD. It's moving up right now. How far does it want to correct? How far does it want to correct? Any questions on the pound dollar?
No, sir.
All right. Trend line on this one. All right, see which way the news is gonna push it. That's the pound. Let's take a look at the NZD USD. Okay. So we come in, right? Go straight to the 4. And we see this is the setup, the 80-20 that we've been monitoring. We got within, I hope somebody was able to make some profit on this. That was a crazy reaction. We got within a few pips, but we came up against that daily support. So hopefully everybody that took it was out, right? You ran up against a daily resistance level right around that TP1 and it rejected. But we almost got there off this 80-20 swing. It's beautiful, right? To get that close, and then we shot right back down. Okay, so you can see here, decision, indecision, decision, move right back down, and now we've gotten held up, and it's trying to reverse a bit. So let's see what happens, right, with the reports today, which way it wants to swing. But that was a decent mover for us. Strong reaction as it got close, but that was a decent mover nonetheless. Any questions on the NZD USD? We're kind of just bouncing around in the range right now. Nope.
No, sir.
Swing and take a look at the dollar CAD. Steadily moving up. Okay, especially with that correctional oil, right? Steady moving up. So we broke through that 136 level. Okay, took out the highs. And you look at our stochastic, right? The momentum is slowing. And if we come down to the 4-hour, you can see where we've got a new AB boundary. So we've had a decent series of ABCD waves. Okay. For a little while now. And now we got this new AB boundary. Let's see what happens, right? We're kind of in no man's land right now, right? I don't want to buy from this point. I'm not selling, right, at this area. And so let's wait and see, right, which way price goes with the non-farm payroll. So that's where we are right now on the 4. If we come down to the 1, zoom in. You can see here, this one did reach an 80-20 zone on the smaller wave. You can see the breakout. Okay. But kind of similar scenario right now. Kind of a wait and see which way the market wants to push price. Any questions on the dollar CAD?
No,
All
sir.
right. All right. Dollar Swissy. Hey, so we know price has been moving bullish, right? So up ABCD waves. That's what we look like from the weekly. Huge run off the low at 85.60. Okay, huge run. So we've been bullish, right? That tells us from the higher time frames, hey, it's probably a good idea to deploy our fibs in an upward direction. Simple as that, everybody. Here's the trend line break. We got a new AV boundary on the daily. If we come down to the 4, This is where we have our 80-20 setup, still trying to play out, right? So we pushed up towards that stop, didn't get it, price reversed back. So this 80-20 is still in play. We've got reports at 8:30. Can't say that enough. We know that there's no technical structure setup that'll stand in the way of a strong fundamental appearance, right? So let's see what happens at 8:30 with this. It'll be beautiful if it pushes it in our direction to the downside. That would be lovely. But this is where we are right now. Price is kind of stalling, which ahead of major news often happens. All right. So that's where we are on the dollar Swiss on the 4. If we come down to the 1, yeah, we're kind of just looking at the same thing. So let's see if that plays out this morning. Any questions on the dollar Swiss?
Nope.
All right. And the dollar yen. Okay. So here we are. Got bearish off that 150 level, and we're pushing up a bit today. Okay. Don't know if that's a fake out. Can't tell. Almost impossible to tell. Okay, ahead of data. So ultimate target, right? Always put it a little bit just shy of that D extension. 150, 190, right? 1,380 pips to the upside. So that move is still in play. Could we correct, to the downside? Of course we could. But all things are still bullish against the yen for the most part. No change in their monetary policy. They're holding pretty steadfast. And you can see we got a correction without any type of change. So still looking across the board for the most part bullish on these yen pairs. All right, so that's where we stand. If we move down to the to the 4, okay, you can see where this is an 80-20 scenario, and it's just been bouncing around and hovering. We got that huge correction, and now it's just a matter of it comes down to the data this morning. Everybody on which way this wants to go. Questions on the dollar yen? Okay. Here, look, right? Good nugget, right? When we talk about those caveats at fib levels, right? So typically you say, hey, I want deep retracements, but we always talk about those caveats and reading price action and the patterns to where you could put those certain exceptions, in your trade plan. Here is a 236 move, right? Little lesson. You got past resistance here. You got a 236. You got weekly support at 144.43. Look at this double bottom. Okay. Those of you who've been with us for a while, we've seen this enough. Okay. That price double bottomed and took off. Can't blame anybody from getting long off that level. Okay. Put that one in your notes. All right. So that's the dollar yen. I want to take a look at the US dollar Mexican peso. Donette put us on to this one, and you can see how the dollar has made a really good comeback against the peso, and it's been pushing long every since. So Donette, I appreciate you on this one. Picking up this pair to trade, and you can see it's pushing long. It's been a decent reversal ever since we've been tracking it, right? We just hit a D extension on the daily off that reversal. Okay. So even going through these charts technically, right, you can see that the data is kind of mixed on the dollar, which way it may go as a result of the news, right, on some of these setups. So look at that ABCD wave there, right? That's a 50 and a 200. And you can see how it crossed. Look at that. Look how it held right there, right? They're not 50 and 61.8, right at that weekly support level. And look at it move. It's been a beautiful play. Good one to study. This, right? So you've got a new AB boundary here. The extension hit on the 4, right? Smaller wave, the extension hit on a 1 previous to the 4 hour, and you got a new AB boundary. So keep an eye on that dollar Mexican peso trade setup. Any questions on this one? It is amazing.
No, sir, no questions.
All right, Reese, I'm gonna take a look at that pound cat. Take a look at gold. All right, so let me back out to the weekly, right? Zoom way out. Okay. Coming in at that 1804. Look at that push down. It's been a beautiful move. Okay. Strength, right? Now, definitely getting to the point where we're exhausted on that. Okay. Yeah, exhausted, moving into that support, way beyond that 161.8. And here we are, right? Come to the 4. It's just moving sideways ahead of the data. Sideways. Fascinating. Right?
Gold is interesting, man.
It is. It is. And it's so fundamentally driven too. So fundamentally driven. So I want to see if it. I wonder if it can get that support. It may not. I don't know. It's in no man's land right now, hovering around that B boundary with data coming up, in another hour or so. So we shall see. Just be patient with it, everybody. Be patient. Be patient. And it's volatile, right? When it moves, it moves. Like it moved to the downside in a hurry. That's pretty explosive there. It just gave way.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
gonna
It's
wait and
like,
see if it breaks above that bearish engulfing on the 4 before I buy.
okay,
It's been
yeah.
selling.
It's been selling hard, right? Really hard. Look at that. Yeah, it's a huge candle. It's I don't know. It's like because so many people trade it, everybody keeps their eye on it. It's like when it breaks key levels, it's like everybody just empties their pockets. In this example, like it was like, see you later, gone. But a lot of times that's why a lot of people like trading it because it's so volatile. Just Marshall, just overall market sentiment, right? Risk on, risk off. With the markets, what's happening globally and uncertainty, right? Because it's a safe haven. Okay, it's a safe haven. Doesn't get you a yield, right? There's no interest collected on gold or anything, which is why you see people favoring the dollar because your bond yields went up 4.7, 4.8, and so the dollar acts as a safe haven too. So am I taking a safe haven that can get me a decent yield, or am I just gonna park it in gold? People are taking the yield, right? I could lock in that 10-year at 4.8 or whatever level it hits. Crazy level on a US 10-year, full faith and security of the US government. I'll take that bond. I'll take a shot on that bond. Move out of gold, right? So safer than the stock market, that bond, and I could get a decent return. You know, look at your returns. You know, what's your returns on the S&P? That huge correction in the S&P and some of your indices wiped a lot of people's gains out for the year if they're only looking long. Okay, think about that on how that works. So, you know, if you don't have it, if you don't have it hedged a certain way and things like that, if you're not diversified enough, like it, that huge move recently to the downside in that correction, hurts some folks. So, let's take a. As a matter of fact, let's look at it. All right. Look at the recent bearish move out of the zone. Right? That's a decent decline. Right? On that's a daily chart on the S&P. Think about that. Right? Now, if you're short, you're following the fib sequence, you're good. Right? You're cool. You know, but look, there we are. So let's see what happens today. See how the market takes things. This should be interesting. This is at a decent level on the 4. You know, do we see declines in the dollar and get a rally in the stock market? What happens? What happens? I don't have a crystal ball on that one. But that's been look at that. That's been, we've seen declines, right? And we know it, right? It hits our 80-20 zone. Okay. This is just something like don't take this move for granted, everybody. Right? Don't take knowing that move in that reaction zone for granted. That's all I'm gonna say. That's July. Look at that. Yeah, yep. Reese, I remember you telling me that yesterday. 105, you know, dollar going to 105 to retest 105.60. See what happens. See what happens. Yeah. So I want to take a look at Reese is talking about the pound CAD because that pound is showing a bit of a rally, and we know that CAD's been weak lately. But you can see it right there. Look at that. That pushing up. Be interesting. We got CAD data. Pushing up pretty high in the zone. All right, it's a beautiful 80-20 swing through 2 TP levels here on the 1. Look at that V-type reversal. My goodness. All right. My goodness, right? If you're one that uses, you know, you don't limit in, you wait for trend line breaks, you get a trend line. Look at that. Look at how. So this is textbook. Okay, this is textbook. Let me
Hey Benny, where'd you run your fib on the 4? So I got an 80-20 on the 4 also.
right up here, it's out. You're running into the down. You talking about that one to the upside?
No, to the downside on the 4 hour.
Yeah, I'm on the 4.
No, I'm seeing the 1 hour chart.
You're seeing a 1 hour chart?
Yeah.
Everybody's seeing a 4 hour or 1 hour. I'm looking at a.
Just,
Is it?
maybe
Is something wrong with my
it's
computer?
lagging.
Maybe.
It just changed. Maybe mine
Michelle
is
says
lagging.
she's seeing a 4. Okay. You got an 80-20 on the 4 running into the downside. Let me
Interesting.
put the let's run the scan. See what they
I think
have.
mine is a little off, I think. Yeah, I got an 80-20 coming off the high.
Yeah, that's what the smart scan's got to set up like this.
I see what I did. No, so I just ran a fib off that second high.
You didn't run it off
I didn't run off the all the way to
the
the
first
left.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all good.
so that's
It's
what
all
it
right. It's showing up on the 1. So yeah, we're good. It's putting you in the same direction. You know what I
was.
mean?
Same direction, yeah.
Yeah, it's putting you in the same direction. So all good. All good, everybody. But let me go back, right? So if we take these off, okay, just to get some clarity. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. So if we run our trend lines, right? Let it run the course. Okay. Run to the downside. And so okay. So the beauty of what we do is we've got multiple levels of support and resistance and whatnot, right? And that's the thing, folks, right? Like, well, how do I know it can react off of any of those levels, right? Well, that's where the fibs come into play, right? And and how we filter, because it can react off of any level, right? But this is how we filter, using the fibs and using the zones. Okay. That's the magic behind what we do. Here's the major. This is where, so out of all of these areas and zones where price could have reversed, this was the one. Why? Because we identified, right, an opportunity where prices get near exhaustion because of the 80-20 zone was hit, right? So we know when the 80-20 zone is hit, there's a possibility of a correction coming soon. Okay. Now, I took the fibs off just to show you, right? Reading your candlesticks when price is ready to reverse. Look at the inner trend line break and look at the bullish engulfing candle. Right? The market is telling you what it wants to do. That's funny. The market is telling you what it wants to do. This trade is gone from this. to the upside, right? Stop below your low. Take a shot at the trade. Doesn't get any better than that. Right? So, yep, we came to an 80-20. Hey, price could be exhausting. Okay? You could drop your trend line and then wait. Okay? If you want a more precise entry, if that's your thing, you drop your trend line, you get a break, you get a bullish candlestick like that, a bullish engulfing, you take that. That's a high percentage trade. It's been moving up in it ever since. Right? We consolidated, we broke out. Look at the consolidation and the breakout. Consolidated, we broke out. Consolidated, it's trying to break out. So it's still doing your homework and having the ability to read price action. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Just be patient. Just be patient. Like I said, scroll back through the Discord. Look, take a look at the stuff. Like, I had an opportunity. Why didn't I maximize my opportunities? What's going on? We have to figure that out, right? We've got to figure that part out because the setups are there, right? So if we go, like for example, to like an NZD Swissy scenario. So we can see where price U-turn. Okay. Which look what happened. All right. So here was your original zone, the original markup. But look, see how it held below the trend line, and then once it broke trend line, look how it moved. Inner to outer trend line. Got to TP1. Once we hit that zone, right? Hey, price has a high probability of exhausting, right? And reversing. That's what it's saying, right? Once we broke that trend line, we moved to TP1 over 200 pips. And that's on the NZD Swiss. That's on the NZD Swiss pair. It's not a crazy big mover. Right. So just some things to think about. Are you always right? Nope, don't have to be. That's the beautiful thing about this game. That's what amazes me the most. Right? Is you don't have to be right all the time to make money. That has a high probability chance of moving a TP1 rate. Okay, it's remarking up my charts. I need to mark this up again. I don't know anywhere else you're gonna find something this simple. 80-20. In the zone. There's a swing. You start finding them every. There it is on the wall. With the clap. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Set your charts up and wait. Questions on anything that we covered today? Ryan, anything to add before we close out?
No, sir. Great session, man.
Appreciate it. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Friday. Look forward to seeing you 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Forex Weekly Ritual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome. Have a great day.